I'm originally from Colombia, South America, and I've moved 49 times in my lifetime. I think I was meant to be international for whatever reason. I lived in Venezuela, Colombia, all up and down the East Coast and as far out as Arizona. So I learned quite a bit. And I think that's what made me thrive the most was learning and adapting, learning and just blending in with whatever it was that I was situated. So I didn't know that that had a word attached to it, which was resilience and adapting to adverse situations. Because as a kid, if you get pulled out of kindergarten halfway through the year, get left behind in kindergarten because you don't know your native tongue, you already starting off on a funky foot. But because of that, I always wanted to ask questions. I was always curious, always wanted to feed my mind.
Right.
Okay, that could get you in trouble because you don't connect your body and your soul with the rest of it. So you feel yourself with information, but you don't really know how to discern it, know how to absorb it with your heart. So it took me 60 years to do this. And I ended up in a wheelchair. I've had 29 or 27 surgeries going on my 28th now. And I have what I was not able to walk for a while because my back had the muscles in my back had caused my leg muscles to atrophy to the point where I couldn't stand on my own. I had to sit in a wheelchair and depend on the wheelchair. So I thought my world was over. Very extremely depressed with psychiatric treatment. I was taking 14 medications where I didn't know what I was supposed to be doing. All I wanted to do was hide and die. I didn't have any life hope for anything because I felt like I was a mistake. I was told I was at 7 years old, I was a mistake in my family because they didn't want girls. And so that was already the first batch of luggage that I didn't need to have in there. Then on top of all the moving, I don't belong anywhere. I don't have friends. And I compare myself with the rest of the people, nobody guiding me through the whole thing and saying, Marty, you're learning skills, you're learning adaptability, none of that. And I didn't discover any of that back until the pandemic hit. And by the grace of God, before the pandemic, I was able to find a neurologist and a pain management doctor, and they said, you have RSD. And I said, and your mama too? I don't know what you're talking about. And it said reflex sympathetic dystrophy. And it's kind of like when you hit your funny bone and your whole alarm system goes on fire. Well, mine short circuited. My autonomic nervous system fried to the point where I was just feeling constant pain. I couldn't shake it. I get cramps. My muscles atrophied, everything. So I was a mess. But this doctor said, we can put you a spine stimulator or a coma. And I'm like, I don't. I don't think the coma is a good idea. And spine stimulator, what's that? And he says, we're going to feed a wire through your back vertebral column and it could paralyze you. There's a lot of risk. I said, well, what choice do I have? If I have this pain that's driving me crazy, I need to do something. So I jumped for it. They did all kinds of psychological tests. I passed. They put this little box in me. And the doctor, the pain management doctor, and this is where I know I have a sense of humor, even though it was all so crazy what was happening. He says, we're going to put you a bun of titanium because they put it right there in my bun. And I was like, ooh, that's kind of cool because Jane Fonda could get buns of steel. I got buns of titanium. So I was trying to find the good in the whole situation, but I always found the funny first. So I think that was just my defense mechanism to to get through. But I didn't know. I didn't have a clue. And so the pandemic hit. I took a 3-day course on how to write a book. And I was like, I've always wanted to write a book. And it was kind of like, let's see what happens. No, they want my money. It's a pandemic. Everybody's making money. La, la, la. No, I did it anyway. I like to take pictures. I had my cover the first day and the title, Resilience Nourishes the Soul. And after that, the next day I had my chapters already outlined. Why? Because I was doing simultaneously a YouTube channel promoting the product that had made me lose 70 pounds in 70 inches. So I had a physical transformation. Now
Wow.
I was working on my mental transformation and changing that little chip to believe in myself. I didn't know that you were supposed to love yourself. I always thought that was arrogance and and oh, I'm all that. But no, I had it all confused in my head. On top of that, I became a personal trainer. For me, that was like epic. How does this girl get out of a wheelchair, lose 70 pounds, and now she's a personal trainer as a senior citizen? Because I turned 65 the end of this month. I feel like I'm at 25 right now compared to 10 years ago. I was not even recognizable. I was a miserable little person and I made everybody around me miserable. I also got the knowledge that I was the one responsible for my misery. I was the one that created all those limiting beliefs that blocked me from seeing and believing that there was something better out there for me, that I could possibly work around it. And I would get little hints and clues of like people in wheelchairs that didn't have limbs. And I would be like, okay, Marty, you got your legs. What the heck is, you start putting yourself in the reality of your situation. And then you're
Right.
like, you have no room to complain. And I was graced that I had good medical care and everything else. So it was just like, I learned to be grateful. And that opened up a whole just barrage of blessings that I had overlooked in my whole path. And it's like, yes, you survived, you overcame, you surpassed, you got through it, you're alive, you could see, you could talk, you get to express yourself. And I think that was my biggest problem. I could never express myself when I was growing up. And I wanted to, and I didn't know how and who would listen and why. Then I'm a mistake. But by the grace of God, I married someone. We've been married 41 and a half years. And to me, he has been a saint. He has seen me, been my doctor, my therapist, my cheerleader, my coach, and everything. He has just really been my angel of everything that I needed to have when I was at my worst, when I had hit the bottom and in my pit. I was suicidal. I don't know why I even thought that I could even take my life away from that man, but God was there present. I saw the movie The Passion with Mel Gibson. That's what stirred me into believing that I could do something different than I had been also, but it was just little pieces. And
Yeah.
that stimulator got me out of the wheelchair. So it's like I was watching and witnessing what I was wanting to live. I just didn't connect the two as them being God's lined you out. God's put all these little tools that you've missed along the way, overlooked, or didn't know how to use them. They're right here now. You got this much left of your life. What you gonna do? You're gonna sit there and watch them, and one day maybe you'll figure out what to do with them, or you're gonna start using them, make mistakes, scrape yourself, bleed, cry, cuss, whatever you got to do. But you found out what you're good at, and that's my thing. I found out my passion, my purpose, and my mission. My passion is resilience. My purpose is to give hope to the people that think their life is over. They're no going to change anything about their lives, and it's impossible. They can't this, they don't know that. No, we are all capable if we believe in ourselves, if we learn to be our best friends, if we appreciate that we are all unique. And that uniqueness is what's come out of me. I didn't know. I thought I
Wow.
had to be William Shakespeare to give my, write a book, but I spoke it in language from the heart. My book is
Yeah.
all heart. And it's just like, this is it. And it oozes out of me to the point that you can't contain it. And I feel very selfish if I didn't share it. And this from a person that would never stand in front of a camera, let alone meet someone who I don't even know where you're at or who you're with. But God has put that in there. He says, like, expose yourself to the right people, and you will see that I will open up doorways and an avenue of a path for you to follow and share with your story. And that's where I'm at. They're even considering a possible movie. I speak to a producer next week. So I don't know. I'm just going with God, let God and let go and see what happens and what transpires. But I'm having a blast, and I have the privilege to say that I'm getting paid for what I love to do. And I never
Wow.
thought that. I never even knew how to dream, and look at what God's put in my
Wow.
path. So
That's amazing. I mean, that is so much awesomeness. It's hard to even it's hard to even pick one area. So what would you say to someone who maybe is a little older and has come to a place in their life where they feel like something is stirring and they have a message to share, but they don't know where to start, what would you
Well,
say to a person like that?
you can look at the book, because that's kind of like what the book is about, is how I discovered like the helpful hints of overcoming adversity, of facing all these things, and getting to your life's, you know, I've passed the peak now because I'm 65, but just getting to that point in your life where you look back and you say, ill, no, your past doesn't define who you are right now. In fact, it makes you learn the lessons and everything that you've experienced to refine it so that you can process it and grow and learn and share. And that's I think that's our responsibility all around the world. God didn't put us by ourselves. We don't get stuff done by ourselves. We think we can, we say we do, but nothing gets done on your own. And you had to have someone teach you. You had to have someone show you. You had to have some kind of inspiration. You had to motivate yourself to listen to those people. So if you don't acknowledge all these things, then you're going to say there's nothing left for me to do. But when you start discovering the little things, so the first thing is take a look at yourself and ask your questions, even hard questions, because for me, it was terrible. What the first one was, describe in adjectives, in positive adjectives, who you are. And I was like, I had to triple think, and then now I can answer the question. I'm intelligent, I'm resilient, whatever. But when you don't even know how to answer the questions, that right there is a hint that you're wanting to find out. So ask yourself those hard questions, then make a list of all the blessings, of all the things that you've remembered that you've overcome. And then you'll see that the little stuff that keeps nitpicking at you and worrying you to death is insignificant, it's minimal, and you can just put it aside and resolve one by one. But why does all that stuff keep floating in our heads? Because we don't face our emotions. We don't confront the situation. We see adversity, or we scared, and we fear, and that shuts us down. But the thing is, if we face it and sort it out by baby steps, not I got to do something instantaneously, because our brain is like, let's get out of here, let's not mess with it. But your heart's going, something gotta happen here. So listen to your heart, listen to your mind, shut it down and say, stop thinking so much, and just focus on the one thing that you have to do, that you can control. The rest of it will resolve. Everything is temporary. This too shall pass. You just have to find the patience, learn how to respond with your body. Your body warns you. Your body warns. So that I learned a lot about physical that I didn't even know we could. What do you mean my body knows? If your stomach hurts, if you don't sleep, it's all that, it's associated with something unresolved. And to me, that was like a key epiphany, like, wow, a lot of luggage I got to clean up out of that garage, and my mental garage is overloaded. I need to clean house. And that book was a catharsis, because I referred to all those times where I thought, wow, this is just not right to live this way, or why was I done this way? And I said, I could write a horror story, or I could write something positive. The world is already a mess. What do I want to contribute to it? Do I want to contribute another horror story, or do I want to just say, yes, horrors exist, but look at where I'm at now. Look at what God has done to me. It's just like I hear myself speak, and I see myself afterwards, and I say, that's not the Marty of before, but it's miraculous. We are a miracle. That's another thing. Tell
Yeah.
anybody that questions themselves, acknowledge you're a miracle. You're alive for a reason. You just haven't found it. Nobody's told you. You don't know what to do. Find the right help. There's plenty of stuff out there. And then when you feel comfortable that you want to open up and ask your questions, then you'll start seeing that there's a lot more people that have been through all this, and they're now, look at how happy they are. It's not fake. There is a lot of fakeness in social media, I will say that. But when you could feel that joy, that empathy, that sympathy and you just like, yeah, I want some of that. So that's what I want to share with the world. I don't care if I give it away. I just want the world to taste a little bit of the joy that it is to acknowledge that you're something bigger than you thought you were.
Yeah. Wow. That's incredible. I love that. I love that so much.
Thank
So
you.
it took you a while to get there, right? So
60
yeah,
years, 60
60
years.
years.
But
Yeah.
granted, not everybody has had or has as many things happen as I did. I lost several careers. I was a radiation therapist, but those patients, those cancer patients taught me how to live. So there was a purpose in that. I could have easily said, bah, university, degree, that don't mean nothing. And at one point in time, I was that. I was saying all that, but now I was like, Marty, what did you learn? You learn how to take care of patients. You learn how to take care of your parents in their dying mode. And dad had Alzheimer's and mom had breast cancer and dementia. And so I know that everything that I had done, even though it didn't seem like it continued, it was stored in there to be used somewhere, somehow. So never regret what you've lived. Never regret what you failed at or not been successful, because it may come in handy in a different way that you didn't even expect. And that's exactly what I say. And I was able to heal with my dad, especially. I didn't know him and he didn't know me, but he had Alzheimer's. And even though he couldn't communicate, for the first time in my life, I got to feel the love of a dad. And that, you can't buy that. You can't buy that. You can't explain it. You just know it was God. So
Yeah. Yeah.
happy
Wow.
Father's Day to all of you that still
Yeah.
have around, and pay attention to them, because they don't last. They don't last. So
I'm so glad that you were able to get to that good place with him,
yes. And
before
mom
he's
too.
gone.
Mom, I
Yeah.
I I promised my dad. Mom was very, because of her dementia, she was very discontrolled, and people, the older friends, don't know, I don't call them friends. Oh, those young people are going to put you out on the street. And I'm like, no, why would we have given up our home in Charleston, South Carolina? We lived there 18 years. The house was almost bought and paid for. We had no dream of leaving paradise to come take care of my parents, we were very distant from each other anyway, but it had to be done, because I couldn't have lived with the guilt knowing that my parents had passed away and I didn't never pick up a finger or do anything. So I'm grateful for that as well, even though it was hell. It was hell, because when you hear that you're abusing your parents and you're over there going, okay, no, but sometimes you're just going way against the tide. But when you know how to stand firm in what you believe, you'll get through. And with
Yeah.
God, he pushes you out of it.
Yeah. Sounds like you've really learned how to rise above your circumstances and kind of take a new perspective in your mind, probably first, right?
Yes.
And just rise above any kind of obstacle. And I guess
Mhm.
that's your book is about resilience,
Yeah,
right?
I call it how overcoming life's speed bumps help you
Yeah.
bounce back. So, because it is like we're on the highway and all of a sudden that speed bump, woo, where do I land? What happened? So we have to bounce back and find a different route, or go around it, or dig your way out of it. Whatever you have to do, you'll figure it out. But what helps me is I can't control everything. I can only control how I feel and how I react. And everything else is consequential. But when you take it, when you bite it down to that little tidbit compared to, oh my God, look at the wreck, look at this mess. I can't, because that's our favorite words to say. I just can't. I can't. No, what can't you can't? Well, you don't even know what you can't. But it's funny, it's comical, because we say things, but we don't really think about what we say.
Yeah.
And that's another thing that I'm becoming very conscious of, is saying what I really truly believe, not making up, because there's no pretending. People can tell you're honest and authentic, or they can just say, okay, yeah, right. No.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that. I love that. Well, I love that we've gotten to spend some time today getting to know each other and you getting to know the Be Awesome Network community. And it sounds like you might have an idea of how to be awesome.
I think I heard it somewhere down the line. I had the right people hit me to it, but no, it is. And that's the thing, is we all need to find the awesome in us. Stop comparing yourself to the rest of the world. You got something in there. I promise you. If I could dig all the stuff I've gotten, and I'm not done digging, but I mean, it's mind blowing. It is magical, and it is God working in you to give you, let you thrive on everything that you were born to do. That's what it is.
That's amazing. My goodness. Well, thank you, Marty, for joining
Thank
us
you.
today.
God
How
bless you.
can people get a hold of you? Be sure after this to drop your links and your contact information in the comments.
I sure will.
But what would you like to end this day on, as far as what thought would you like to give to people? And then maybe how can they get a hold of you, and what do you have to offer?
Okay, so the thought that I have is take a look at yourself. Take a look at yourself and think of all the things that keep repeating in your mind that can't even explain, or start writing them. Even just record them. You got all kinds of electronic devices, make use of it, but start recording what you think and feel, and you'll see patterns that develop. But take a look at yourself, most importantly. I can be found in Amazon, the book Resilience Nourishes the Soul. I will share the links, but I can also be contacted. I do give a 15-minute consult to someone that wants coaching, personal one-on-one coaching, but I'm also going to do a large audience speaking gigs because I'm getting all kinds of offers now. But in any case, for the time being, if you want that one-on-one, take advantage of it. I'm sure that before long, I'm not going to be able to do anything for free, not because I don't want to, it's because I just don't have I want to gain the resources to do this globally. So support me any way you can. Read. I have a YouTube channel that's in Spanish, but I have English subtitles. I've got invitations to do a podcast in English, and TV shows, and working in a finishing school, and part of the Peace Corps, something UNICEF. I don't know. I got so many things happening that it's just like God just showered me with blessings. And now I and everything that I pick up is like something related to my mission. Now it's for me to focus on what I really want to do and share in the best way I know how. And I say audiences are more effective than one-on-one. And but either way, I'm there for you if you need me. There's lots of information that I have. I also do magazine articles. I got other anthologies I'm part of, and I'm in the process of 4 books coming out before next year. So we'll see what happens.
Okay, well, that's a lot. Well, thank you so much, Marty. And
Thank you,
I
Lori.
really appreciate you coming on to the Be Awesome Network.
Thanks.
And I really appreciate your heart to serve others and help them be awesome. And if you're listening right now, I just want to tell you that you are awesome. You have the ability to be awesome, and I'm glad you're here. So let's all soak it up and learn together.
Amen.
And yeah, I'm going to end the broadcast, but we're going to stay on and chat a little bit more.
Okay.
And thank you again for joining us. And
God
until
bless.
later, be awesome.
Bye.